Hello everyone and welcome back guys to a brand new video where today we're here back with more iRacing content. This time around we're here checking out our first review of the all new 2022 Season 2 car builds. Yeah, we've actually had quite a lot of exciting stuff get dropped onto iRacing ready for the new season. We've got things such as the all new Hyundai TCR car, we've got the all new Brazilian stock cars, cannot wait to drive those, the Aston Martin GT4, Winton as well, and the new iRacing Formula IR-04. Basically, iRacing sort of interpretation of what Formula 4 machinery is like in the real world. Now, of course, you've got so many different sort of Formula 4 styles around the world. You know, you've got the Abarth Formula 4 in Italy, the ADAC F4 in Germany, British F4, everything like that. So what iRacing has done is kind of smush them together into sort of like the best of all of them, and then, yeah, sort of come up with this kind of, so they've sort of got like a homologated version ready for the sim. Now, very, very intrigued to see how this thing will fare on the sim. I always was a little bit worried sort of when I first saw it. I thought it was going to be like one of, I want to say it's the USF 2000 or the Dallara PM18, I want to say, you know, sort of very, very similar on the ladder. You know, we've sort of got the road to IndyCar now on one side and then the road to Formula 1 on the other side. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see if there's really many differences between this and that car as well there. Little engine there, nice to hear as well. Of course, yeah, this thing won't have much power, won't be the fastest car down the straight, but also doesn't have that much downforce either. You can tell that by the front wing, so I think it's going to be a very, very different beast to the F3 cars, as immediately I've noticed I'm on the wrong paddles, so that might not be fun trying to race this thing with a sequential shifter. Right, attempt 2 then, here in the all-new IR-04. And let's take it out for our first laps then. I thought I'd take it to Okayama today. Don't really know why. I just sort of felt like it might be a good little car track combo. You know, sort of Okayama, a very, very small, obviously former Formula 1 racing venue. Back for the Pacific Grand Prix many, many years ago. But yeah, I sort of thought, you know, it would probably suit these cars, you know, a couple of fairly decent straightaways. I think you could probably get some quite good racing out of this car around here. But of course, if you aren't already subscribed and you do want to see plenty more content reviews, obviously, over the course of the weekend and early into next week, definitely make sure you hit that subscribe button. Of course, we've now ticked over 1,000 subscribers on the channel, and hopefully, yeah, we can continue on our way up towards sort of 2,000 as well. There will be more GT7 content as well, for those of you guys that have been asking. I'm just waiting for the new sort of week to roll around on the online racing. I don't really sort of want to make many offline videos on there, unless, of course, yeah, a bit like iRacing, there's sort of a new content update and things like that. But immediately sort of getting the impression this thing is a bit of a handful. Like I said, often I sort of head into these sorts of cars with the mindset on other sims that the F4 is kind of like a baby F3 car. Very, very different actually. F4 is very much sort of obviously the first step from go-karts for a lot of people. F3 then is very much sort of more like Formula 4 feels like an oversized go-kart a lot more. F3 then is sort of when you feel like you're stepping in towards higher Formula machinery, you know, sort of a lot more downforce working, everything like that, especially with iRacing's version, where it is sort of like the FIA F3 series, not one of the national ones. As immediately I've Checo Perez'd it down in towards one. Luckily, don't manage to get it beached either, but yeah, immediately this thing then a little bit of a handful around Okayama. But yeah, like I said though, not much downforce on this thing, so really does struggle often, you know, where it's got no weight underneath it either, and sort of not a lot pushing the air down on towards the tyres. You know, it can get a little bit loose and lively, a bit like the PM18 used to do as well there. But nice to see, you know, we've now sort of got a proper sort of road to Formula 1 on iRacing. Of course, you can jump in with the Formula V, then of course jump into the F4 car, F3. Formula Renault 3.5 is a bit of a dead series nowadays, unfortunately. I think there's one Friday night event that Apex Racing do. That is sort of like the only time that series even sees double digits. I was always a bit gutted with how little love those two new, the Formula Renault ended up receiving. Especially, well, both Formula Renaults now are pretty much dead on the servers, which is a bit gutting. You know, there's a lot of focus on GT3s and everything like that. But yeah, it just does start to make you wonder whether there's just a few too many Formula cars on the sim. You know, even if a lot more of them had like just fixed series, I think would massively help. I think that's sort of why a lot of people sort of shied away from the Formula Renaults there, because of course they're both still open setup series. You know, F3 has got fixed and an open setup championship now, and they'll both still get very, very good interest. So fingers crossed they sort of take the same route with this new F4 car as well. They're just going to try and tip it in a lot more carefully in towards turn 1. Yeah, you cannot drive this thing like you would the F3 or the F1 car. Got to be super patient with it and try not to let it snap out all too much on you as well. But yeah, you know, there's a lot of Formula cars now. I think a lot of people as well were sort of wondering where this will fit in to the matchmaking. I think it's probably going to be a D licensed car. It would make sense if the Formula 3 is C licensed and obviously the Formula 1 car is A. Yeah, it kind of just makes sense there. I don't think they'd make this thing rookie material just yet because, you know, Formula V kind of does that job pretty well for the most part. You know, maybe down the line I'll have to do a bit of a road to Formula 1 at some point on iRacing as well. There, as we just get a little bit of snap oversteer as we head through the little double left-hander. I must admit, always been a fan of Okayama on the sim. This is, of course, the first track I ever actually did a race on, and a video for that matter, on iRacing as well. You know, maybe we'll have to do a VR series in this car as well down the line. Desperately need a reason to get my Oculus set back up again. You know, maybe, apparently there's rumours F1 2022 might support VR. I know we've said the last couple of years, but yeah, apparently F1 2022 might be the first game from Codemasters Formula 1 side of things that supports VR, so I would definitely do a VR career mode over on there at some point in the future. But yeah, let's just wait and see then. We're going to do one more sort of warm-up lap, and then I'm going to try and go for an attacking lap in this F3 car there, setting times down towards the 90-second mark, which is, I mean, fairly decent. It feels like, again, this car for me doesn't really sort of suit my driving style. You know, you can't be too aggressive on the downshifts. You know, you sort of got to be very patient, glide it into the corners. You know, that front wing is not going to work hard, and no matter how much you get it to try, the back end is going to go around before the front end decides it's going to play ball with this thing. Seems a bit basic on the dash. I wouldn't have minded if we just sort of had a rehash of the F3 car, but I guess, you know, sort of licensing or something like that, they weren't able to do anything. And, you know, perhaps I'm completely wrong. You know, F4 cars might, in any championship, not really have, yeah, might not have particularly sophisticated dashboards as well. But yeah, this thing, when you really try and overstep the mark, you can get it back round, but it certainly feels like a lot more of a coincidence than anything else there. Is, yeah, I think if you're going to do that, you're probably going to throw away a lot of time as well. But yeah, let's round the final couple of corners then and actually try and go for a proper sort of attacking lap here. See what I can hook up in this F4, and of course, obviously as well, give you guys a little bit of a piece of that engine sound as well. Round in the final corner, let's try and go for a proper attacking lap then. Maybe sub 90 is doable here around Okayama. Always knew I was going to chuck it far too deep into there. As soon as I hit the brakes, I was like, I've massively misjudged that one. But yeah, we always had the same issues originally with the Formula V, and I think, to be honest, the F3 car. So I still have got a lot to learn with these lower Formula cars on iRacing. Weirdly enough, yeah, I think the Mercedes is probably the one I find the least difficult to drive, which is always quite funny. You know, can never understand why. It's not like I drive Formula 1 cars at all. But yeah, I'm going to give this one more go then. Oh, come on, this thing is... It likes its snap oversteer on you. Fair play. It'll certainly keep you awake for a few laps if you try and really explore the limits of it. Let's go then for one proper sort of push lap. This time around I'll sort of talk over it. as we head out the final corner, then cycle back up through the gears, up in towards 5th gear there, won't need 6th before you get down towards turn 1. Going to be looking just past the gantry, just before the blue cones, down the 2 gears, tip it in. You have to use very, very little steering rack there, and really open up the steering. 4th gear back up, you can leave it in 4th through here, but you absolutely have to get it towards that apex. Rear end of the car sliding all underneath you, as well as you head through the next couple of kinks, back up through 5th gear. That gets close on the left-hand side as you dare. Back into 3rd again, sort of trying to tip the car in. You really have to turn in quite early, but not using much steering lock at all as you now head out on to the back straightaway, up on towards the plateau at the top of the hill. Again, keeping the car over on the left-hand side. You definitely don't want to be braking as late as I tried to last lap. Probably going to be looking at about 100 board as we head down in towards the hairpin. 2nd gear, again, you have to be patient with this thing as you try and cycle it back up. Get the car over. Try not to spin it. Surprised with how much I'm struggling to try and get this thing point in the right direction. But yeah, anyway, down in towards the next couple of turns then, back up into 3rd gear. This has now officially become the worst hot lap guide I might have ever done on the channel. Braking just before the 50, down in 2nd gear again through here. Be really, really careful about that snap oversteer. You know, if it does happen, try and correct it once and don't do what I do and saw away at the wheel. And then down in towards the final couple of corners there. 4th gear, easy flat through the penultimate one. Braking just after you straighten it out. Tip it in, 3rd gear. Round in the final corner, clip the grass. And that is kind of going to be a lap of Okayama. Let's see now, 3rd time's a charm, whether I can actually just get 1 lap dialed in properly. I might be trying to overstep the mark with this thing. But fingers crossed now. Oh, the lap can come together. No, come on. Just a couple of corners to go. Oh, this thing, I mean, it does put a smile on your face still when it's trying to snap round on you, as long as it doesn't completely loop it. But round in the final corner then, that's probably going to be the best lap I'm sensibly going to be able to do in the time frame I've given myself there. But up towards the line, it is going to be a 130.3, so definitely 29s are going to be doable there, as again, we way overcommit down in towards turn 1. But I think that's going to do us, though, for this video, guys. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like and get yourself subscribed. Like I said, there's going to be plenty more iRacing content. Sort of having a look. You know, I bought the new Hyundai, I've bought the new Brazilian stock cars, and then, of course, also the new Aston Martin GT4 car as well. Then maybe I can finally fall in love with GT4 on iRacing. But thank you all so much for watching nonetheless. Like I said, if you have enjoyed, do make sure you leave a like and get yourself subscribed. And yeah, we're going to be back very, very soon with more sim racing content.